I wish to inform you that the Right Honorable Speaker is unavoidably absent, and accordingly, in accordance with Order 13.2, the First Deputy Speaker.
Page 9. Page 10. Yes, Honorable Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, a colleague drew my attention to page 7. I think it's not in the chamber, but Mr. Speaker, point 5, paragraph 3. I hold the view that the table office can make that construction more elegant than it appears, because the impression is that the membership of this House is 227. He also indicated that the test conducted so far revealed that 15 out of 227 members had tested positive, and 56 out of 3 staff had also tested positive. I think it has to be clearer. Page 7, paragraph 3 of point 5. And then, Mr. Speaker, the first paragraph of point 5, I believe that if the outcome of the test result is inserted, it would also...
Your point is well made, Honorable Leader. I think if it is stated that the test conducted so far revealed that out of 227 members that, or 227 members who had taken the test, so the table office will undertake the appropriate correction. Yeah. Yes, Honorable Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as we said, the 227 relates to the number who had submitted themselves for testing as of that time. And then the 15 out of that number, it turned out had tested positive. For the staff, it was the results of 193 that had come that revealed that 56 of the 193 results that had come had tested positive. What it means is that the number of the staff that had submitted themselves was not known to the Speaker at the time he made that statement. But certainly that number will go far higher than maybe 200 or 220 or whatever. But certainly the number of admitted themselves was more than 193.
Very well. I was on page 9. Page 10. Yes.
All right, Mr. Speaker, to take you back again on page 7, item number 5, paragraph 1. I believe the Deputy Majority Leader was drawing your attention to the outcome, paragraph 1.5. There should be outcome because it reads, the Right Honourable Speaker informed honourable members of the COVID-19 situation in Parliament following the test conducted. In inference, it has to be an outcome before the situation could be identified. So I think there should be outcome there. That's paragraph 1.5.
I'm not sure I've understood the point you're trying to...
So I'm saying that, for instance, he's saying that the statement reads the test conducted, but there should be an outcome, because not just because the test that resulted from, there's no result. The outcome of the test.
Very well. Your point is well made. Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, item number 2, page 10, XIV. Honorable Zinato has been titled wrong. I think she's Mrs. instead of Mr. Yeah, doctor, but that is Mr. I think she's a female.
Page 10. XIV. Mr. Zanato General. Very well. Yeah. Any more corrections, please? Page 11. In the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of Thursday, February 4th, 2021, as corrected, is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. Honourable members, business statement. The chairman of the business committee.
Speaker, the business committee met yesterday, Thursday, the 4th of February 2021, and arranged business of the House for the 6th week ending Thursday, the 11th of February 2021. The committee accordingly submits its report as follows. Speaker, any available communication to the House. Speaker, you may admit statements to be made in the House by honorable members in accordance with Order 72. Speaker, reports from committees may also be presented to the House. Motions may be debated and their consequential resolutions, if any, taken during the week. Right Honourable Speaker, the Business Committee takes this opportunity to remind all first-time members of Parliament and re-entrants or returnees, otherwise also referred to as recycled members, that an induction seminar is being organized for them. The seminar is scheduled to take place from this evening, Friday, the 5th of February, to Monday, the 8th of February, 2021. Speaker, members are programmed to check in at the Aqua Safari Resort, Bigada, this evening. The seminar will end in the afternoon of Monday, the 8th of February, 2021. Speaker, members of leadership of the House are expected to be in attendance at the seminar. Members of leadership are accordingly entreated to arrange their affairs availability at the induction seminar. Speaker, following the results received from the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, the COVID-19 testing carried out in Parliament, and the need for further precautionary measures to avert the disease, you, in consultation with leadership, have agreed that the House sits only twice a week. Speaker, again, the directive has been given that beginning next week, members would not be allowed to bring their visitors to the House, including their officers. The same directive goes to the staff. And we want to restate the fact that the public would also not be allowed into the public gallery to observe proceedings in the House. Accordingly, the Business Committee has programmed that the House would sit on Tuesday, the 9th of February and Thursday, the 11th of February 2021. Speaker, members are entreated to take note of the change in the days of parliamentary sittings and avail themselves for business of plenary on the set date. Speaker, the House is expected to approve of the composition of committees in plenary in the course of the week. And that may mean that on Thursday, we may have to sit for a much longer period than anticipated. Mr. Speaker, I think for the avoidance of doubt, it's important to state that there is going to be a new configuration for the if we come to adopt the new standing orders. And because we are not there yet, the appointment committee in its current nature and shape would then sit on Wednesday to begin the vetting or screening of nominees. Once the reviewed orders is adopted by the House, that committee will stand dissolved. And a new committee will come to replace that committee in the performance of the functions of the appointment committee. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order 160 sub 2 and subject to Standing Order 53, the Business Committee submits to this House the order in which the business of the House shall be taken during the ensuing week. The rather short order of business is at the back of the page, and I believe members have perused the contents, and it's not my intention to go through. And I believe the Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa would agree with me that I don't spend time and energy reading the entire document. The Speaker, I beg to submit.
Yes, I remember for Norton.
Grateful rights, Honorable Speaker. I'd like to, Mr. Speaker, begin by expressing gratitude to the Chairman of the Business Committee for the presentation of the business statement. The first issue, Mr. Speaker, I would like to raise for some clarification is the status exactly of the new standing order review. We had been told last week that there will be either a joint caucus or a committee of the whole in the course of this week. We're looking forward to that, following laying of the paper that the technical committee that we had set up earlier presented. We were told that that committee's work had been concluded. The committee chaired by Mr. Speaker himself, the first Deputy Speaker. It does appear that that original program is no longer what we are working with. And Majority Leader has not given any indication as to what is happening so far as the review process is concerned. Because members have inputs to make, and we are all looking forward to the process. It's not clear where we are on that, particularly when we also want to have these committees formed so that we can begin work in earnest in the committees. So, Leader, let us know exactly where we are at with the processes that are expected to lead to the new standing orders. And then, Mr. Speaker, Order 33 of our standing orders provides, Order 33.1, that the clerk shall send to each member a copy of the agenda for each meeting, if possible, 14 days before the meeting, and shall, as required, circulate a supplementary agenda. Mr. Speaker, so far, I have not seen an agenda for this meeting. I've been looking forward to it. There's no indication when that's going to happen. Ideally, this should be happening before the meeting commences. And it's been more than 3 weeks, if I'm right, and we still don't have an agenda for this meeting. I don't know if there's some plausible explanation for this development. If the majority leader can offer some guidance in reference to Standing Order 33.1, so that we can all be guided as we prepare to function fully and profitably in this meeting of this session, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, finally, I would also want to find out from the majority leader if the seminar for the 8th Parliament, the tradition has been that everyone participates. I believe that is because of the COVID exigencies that you appear to be starting with only the first-timers and then the group he calls the recycled MPs. Is there any indication when can benefit from this seminar, as has been the tradition since a new parliamentary term has commenced? I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I commend the chairman of the Business Committee for the presentation. Mr. Speaker, just tries to seek a clarification on the point number 4, the sitting of the House in view of COVID-19. Last week and this week we were grouped, and each of us, into 3 groups, and therefore we're attending in that order. The new arrangement just talks about the sitting days, but how do we attend? Who comes on the Tuesday and who comes on Thursday? I think there's a need for clarification on that. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, first of all, let me thank the majority leader. The guy just have 2 concerns. Firstly, is it not possible that even at this seminar or retreat for first-timers, they could make Zoom or whatever facility available so that it will be virtual? Then those who may not wish to be with the numbers can still participate. Because in this era of technological advancement, I do not see why. I'm saying that the program for the MPs, the seminar, the first timers, is it not possible that you could introduce a virtual aspect of it so that an MP doesn't necessarily have to be physically available before you can participate? And the second one also goes for this House. In this era of technological, I hold the view that even the other papers, the reports and all that, if we can have a platform where all this information will be made available such that I can upload Because of late, what you do is that you just come to sign your name and virtually go back. But if through technology, I could assess what is happening in Parliament and even be able to pose questions. For instance, on Friday, once I receive your business statement and I have questions, I don't necessarily have to come and sit I could send my comments well in advance so that we can deal with that. I think that if we can take advantage of this aspect, I'm sure that it will lessen the physical contact and the interaction within the chamber and anywhere else. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Honourable.
Right Honourable Speaker, I think I speak for the entire First Timers. Since we were sworn in, there has always been this issue of a new standing order. For some of us, we have the very old one, and we actually don't know the very mischief that the new order is seeking to cure in the old one. So for us, we have the old one. We don't know what is in the new one, and for which reason we find it very difficult to contribute when it comes up for discussion. So I'm of the opinion that when we go for the workshop at Adan, we should be able to get educated on the various aspects of the old standing order that we want to change or possibly repeal. So this is my humble appeal, that when we go there, we get educated on those aspects that the new one is seeking to come in.
Yes, Honourable Majority Leader.
Yes. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. My humble submission is with regards to the seminar for the new entrants. And then based on the information available for us, there is arrangement for a bus to go first timers to the event ground. But in the event of COVID-19, I'm of opinion that if a bus is going to take all of us to the event ground, the tendency, we don't know the status of the driver, and it is probably going to be an air conditioned bus. The possibility of spreading COVID during the mode of transport is very, very high. So I will please the Honourable Speaker that they relook at it for us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Majority Leader.
Speaker, the Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa wants to know the status of the technical committee's report. I think I related to that. And it is that that report must be owned by the Standing Orders Committee. No, we had not constituted a Standing Orders Committee. That committee cannot report to us in plenary. It is the Standing Orders Committee that must take possession of this and then lead us, maybe at the joint committee, a joint caucus committee, right, meeting, which is scheduled to take place. We had thought that it would take place today. Unfortunately, the Speaker did a position yesterday, which is what is going to be done today. And once it's done, then they will lead the discussion on Tuesday when we meet, because the Standing Orders Committee is the committee that should lead us the consideration of any amendment to the Standing Orders Committee, Standing Orders, whether it's a review, a holistic review, or any amendments. So that's how it is. It is the reason why we are now composing the Standing Orders Committee, which is chaired by the Speaker himself. So that settles it. The other one that related to was Order 33. And Order 33, as you read to us, provides that the clerk shall send to each member a copy of the agenda for each meeting, if possible, 14 days before the meeting, and shall, whenever the circumstances require, circulate a supplementary agenda. The Speaker, as my honorable member knows, close to 90% of the business that we transact in this house are from government, the executive. As you do know, technically, we don't have them in place, which is what exercise we want to do, want to begin next week, the approval process of the President's nominees. And when they are in place, through the prior approval process that Parliament would subject them to, when they are in place, then they, working from their various ministries, will submit their own work schedule to us, which then is what we compose into the agenda. It's the reason why at the beginning of the term of any government, the agenda submitted to members of Parliament 14 days before the first meeting, or even the first few weeks before into the meeting, until the ministers are approved of. And I guess by this, you are imposing on yourself the obligation to fast track the approval process of nominees. The Speaker, the other one is questioning about the seminar. This one is for the first timers. When is the continuing members also going to have their turn? The Speaker, begin with the first timers because they are entering the House the first time, and we need to orient them. If we had adequate space, all of us would have been together. Unfortunately, we don't. So we want to begin with them, and then the ensuing weekend, the continuing members of Parliament who have already been baptized and who only need confirmation will be confirmed. That is, if they are real believers. Because there are some who are not real believers or who didn't get baptized. But, the Speaker, that is the program. Doc, you want to know who comes Tuesday and who. What is being done? We're not going to segment attendance. We are employing the IT department to work to see if it is possible to have many of us operate from our offices. Then we shall have a skeletal representation in the chamber. Because, as you do know, the figures are getting a bit scary. And perhaps it may become necessary, because the tent is much more spacious, perhaps to even move there. But we must first assure ourselves of the strength of our IT system. If it is okay, then not too many will be in the chamber. So we are working on that feverishly to see how it ends. Speaker, I believe there are some that certainly have to converge and transact business, especially with the vetting process, the appointment committee meeting, experience any hiccups, so that we shall have a smooth flow of the conduct of the screening process. John, Jinapo, he asked a question and he doesn't want to have an answer to it. Or he wants a virtual communication. The Speaker, he wants to know whether the presentations at the seminar are going to have some virtual presentations. We intend for that to happen. Yesterday I should say, we requested our IT staff to go ahead of time and inspect the facilities there, so that all of us are not going to be at the conference room at the same time. Perhaps the first meeting, that is the Speaker opening the conference, may require many of us to be there. But after that, depending on the strength of the system, all of us are not going to be at the center. So we're going to have an arrangement to accommodate virtual presentations, and that indeed is going to be the way forward. They've just reported back to us that what you've seen there, they believe can accommodate the virtual submissions. If that is the case, then we shall submit ourselves to that. The other colleague who asked about the status of the standing orders, I think if you listen to me, I related to the processes of handling it. We need to compose the standing orders committee. And then, once we have that in place, the technical committee's report will go to them. And then they will lead the House to adopting it. After they themselves have convinced themselves about the veracity of the report and whether or not the observations that they make will be sufficient to lead us on to a better path. So that is it. The last one wants to know the mode of ferrying members of parliament to Adan. And he says that going in a bus would not be good for the health of members. I don't know. If members have their own transport, that would be the best. Unfortunately, many of the new ones don't have their own means of transport. So I don't know how else we are going to ferry them to the place. Unless maybe you can lead us to some other means. I don't know whether you can travel there virtually. If you can. If you can engage in virtual traveling, perhaps we'll go with you. But I think that in the circumstance, what is intended to be done is not to overly populate the buses. Very few members would be allowed to occupy each other. And so they are bringing not only one or two, I think they have four buses, 5 in total, so that, we can physically distance ourselves riding in the buses. So these concerns are taken on board. Thank you.
Yes, another member for Ablekuma Central, Ablekuma West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm aware, Mr. Speaker, that all the infrastructure and the devices that are necessary for the full implementation of e-Parliament have been supplied and are in place. And when we did our registration, each member of Parliament was given a laptop, which is part of the e-Parliament process. It is imperative, as the pandemic is raging, that we take steps toward implementing e-Parliament. And that would also help facilitate virtual sittings of the House. I know that it wasn't part of the original project design, but we're standing by ready to assist with whatever additional resources are required to enable the virtual sittings of Parliament. One main reason why the 7th Parliament couldn't fully implement this project was because members of Parliament didn't receive, all of us were not trained in the use of the infrastructure and the services that have been put in place. And so I'd had conversations with the clerk that during the orientation for the 8th Parliament, that could be a means of providing all members of Parliament with the requisite training to enable the House implement e-Parliament. Now with the new in place, which necessitates that only first-time MPs attend the orientation process, it means that those of us continuing MPs would not have the benefit of the orientation process. Well, I'm being told that that would also be done. But I'm hopeful that as part of the training that we're giving during this process, the e-Parliament would also feature prominently in this so that we can move towards a paperless Parliament and virtual sittings as well. And as I've indicated, we're standing ready to facilitate whatever additional requirements are needed to make that happen. And that should set the minds of members at ease so that that would also help us to have virtual sittings of the House and reduce the opportunities for us to either contract or transmit. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think 2 days ago, if you could recall, Honorable Kofi Adams made a statement on the floor of the House about the difficulties in the payment of cocoa farmers their produce. And your good self, you directed that officials from the Cocoa Board be appeared before the Committee of the Whole to clarify issues. Given the urgency of the issue, I believe that if it could be given attention in this business statement, that would be in order. I'm most grateful.
Yes, Leader.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, at the Business Committee yesterday, one important item that was slated for Tuesday, 9th February was the report of the technical committee to advise Mr. Speaker on the formation of the Parliamentary Service Board. And it was slated to be taken on Tuesday. I've gone through the business to be transacted on Tuesday and I cannot find it. Mr. Speaker, this report is very important and the committee's advice is also very important because we are in week 6 and this is a new Parliament and this is the 6th week. Considering the happenings and all that we are discussing, this is the 6th week that we are going. Considering the happenings and all that we are saying, either going digital or not, much of the decisions will be taken by the Parliamentary Service Board. So if the report doesn't come for the House to expedite action on some of those things, certain things will be delayed. So if the chairman of the Business Committee, the leader of the House, will take cognizance of that and insert it, or the House can insert it accordingly. Because it was part of it. I don't know whether it's a typo or an oversight. Then secondly, Mr. Speaker, the new members, we the old members were given copies of the standing orders. And I don't think that the new or the proposed standing orders. And I don't think the new members have some. As we are going for this orientation, if copies will be made available to them so that in their free time, they can be perusing that one alongside with the handout that will be given. I think it will be very important. These are the two things I want to bring to the attention of the House and the attention to the leader of the Business Committee. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. Honorable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the member for Ablikuma West has made a good point in respect of the training in assessing IT infrastructure for members. Speaker, we had a bit of a challenge in respect of what was supposed to be done by way of completing the process. And we brought back Michelle's Suoko to help us deal with the outstanding issues. And I believe that once we are over that hill, we should be in a position to encourage members to be doing that. As Speaker, I believe it's an important matter going forward so that we're able to conform to the current arrangements. The Speaker, the matter raised by the member for Jaboso, I think we're trying to contact COCOBOT. We're not successful yesterday, but today we were able to establish contact, and we've asked that they come before us and to be with us on Thursday. So Thursday, perhaps we'll program them in good time so that even if we have to meet a bit ahead of time, so we exhaust the issues, we'll do that. But Thursday they'll be coming. The exact time I'm not able to tell you. The normal sitting time is 2 o'clock. I will see if we can even bring it forward a bit so that because it's not a minister, the lead person will have to be with us in the committee of the whole and not in plenary. Perhaps we may have to bring it a bit forward. But that is for Thursday. The Speaker, I agree with the Deputy Whip for the minority, Honorable Ahmed. We agreed yesterday to have it featured in the business statement. I think it got lost, and I was not properly tracing and tracking the matters. So I'm thankful to him. We'll certainly find accommodation for that on Tuesday. And then the observation again that he made on availing the review standing orders to the new members. I think it will have to be done. So they're able to interrogate the matters that will come before us as a House. I think it's a useful suggestion and to be so guided. Yeah, thank you.
Very well, honourable members. The business statement of the week ending Thursday, 11 February 2021 is hereby adopted by the House. Honorable members, at the commencement of public business, presentation of papers by the chairman of the Committee on Selection, Honorable Majority Leader.
Speaker, I want to present this paper on behalf of the chairman of the committee, the Speaker. If you permit me, I also accordingly present the paper on behalf of the Speaker.
Yes.
Second report of the Committee of Selection on the composition of the membership of the Standing Orders Committee.
The report is duly presented for distribution to members. Item number 7, motion. Yes, Honorable Leader.
Speaker, I beg to move that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 80 sub 1, which require that no motion shall be debated until at least 48 hours have elapsed between the date on which notice of the motion is given, motion is moved. The motion for the adoption of the second report of the Committee of Selection on the composition of the membership of the Standing Orders Committee may be moved today. I so move.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I write to second the motion.
Honorable members, the procedural motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All against, say no. The ayes have it. The procedural motion has been adopted by the House. Item number 8. Chairman.
Speaker, I beg to move that this Honorable House adopts the second report of the Committee of Selection on the composition of the membership of the Standing Orders Committee. Speaker, in so doing, I want to present the report of the committee on behalf of the Speaker of Parliament. Speaker, in his deliberations, the committee was guided by the formula adopted by the House on Friday, the 15th of January, 2021, for the composition of the membership of committees, parliamentary delegations, and other parliamentary groups and associations. The committee was also guided by Article 103, 1992 Constitution under the 154 of the Standing Orders of the House. They require that the committee, as much as possible, reflect the different shades of opinion in Parliament. Speaker, the committee observed that the House intends to urgently revise the current standing orders of Parliament in order to strengthen the work of Parliament itself and its various committees. This revision is to be done in earnest to ensure the smooth functioning of the House and its committees. Speaker, the need to compose the Standing Orders Committee is captured under bullet point 3.2. The committee observed that Order 156 orders of the House provides that it shall be the duty of the Standing Orders Committee to draft and codify the rules relating to the procedure of the House and the general conduct of business, which shall be observed in the House and in all its committees. The Standing Orders Committee is also to consider from time to time and report to the House any proposals for amendment which may be referred to it. The committee noted that in order to facilitate the consideration of any proposals or amendments to the Standing Orders, there is an urgent need to compose a Standing Orders Committee, as it is the committee entrusted with the responsibility of reporting to the House such proposals for amendments. The committee, after thorough deliberations, recommends as follows. 1. That considering the need to revise the Standing Orders of the House, proposes the membership of the Standing Orders Committee for approval by the House. That the membership of the Standing Orders Committee is made up of the Speaker as chairman, the 2 deputy speakers, and not more than 20 other members as appointed by the Committee on Selection. That based on the approved ratio of 138 to 137 and the conventions and practices of the House, the composition of the Standing Orders Committee is accordingly composed and is captured in Table 1 as expressed on page 3 of the report. Speaker, the chairman is Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsford Babing. The 2 deputy speakers, Honorable Joseph Osewusu, Honorable Andrew Amakwesiama, are all part of it, and the 20 other members are listed below. Speaker, the committee respectfully recommends to the House to adopt this report and approve the membership of the Standing Orders Committee of the House. In order for the committee, as I indicated in the morning, to lead us on the path of the approval process of the review orders. Speaker, I beg to submit. Thank you very much.
Yes, Deputy Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I write to second the motion. And in seconding it, Mr. Speaker, I want to make some few comments. Mr. Speaker, this is a Standing Orders Committee that we are forming. And I think this will bring to the attention of all of us that this is one of the most important, if not the most important committee of this House. Mr. Speaker, if you read Order 157 and in paragraph 2 of the report, it says that there shall be a committee known as the Standing Orders Committee. The Speaker, we shall be in charge of going through the standing orders which we use in our practice and procedure in this House. So if there's a committee chaired by the Speaker with the first and second deputy speakers in charge of going through the rules of procedure, which is our standing orders, that committee must be regarded as one of the most important committees. The Speaker, normally or sometimes, even though there's this committee, when it comes to going through things like going through issues of the standing orders, also let's form a technical committee. The Speaker, I believe the names that we have here now are very competent enough to do anything in relation to standing orders in this House. And it shall not be that once we pass it today and finish with the new standing orders, from time to time, they should not be going through. The Speaker, if we give them what they are supposed to do, and even sometimes giving them the referral to go and take other standing orders from other committees, best practices, and be comparing with ours from time to time, are dynamic. The Speaker, will not be coming to a point whereby we say we are reviewing our standing orders. I have been 12 years old in this House. The Speaker, from day one, from 2009, ever since I entered this House, there was the talk about changing our standing orders. The Speaker, 5th Parliament we couldn't. There was a technical committee. 6th we couldn't. Technical committee. If we are in 8th Parliament. And even 8th Parliament, there was a technical committee. And now with realization that the committee with that mandate to deliver that job is the Standing Orders Committee and not the technical committee. And it is on that basis that we are forming this. Once we form this, the members who have been privileged to be members of this 23-member committee the Speaker, should take it upon themselves and do what other parliaments couldn't do. They should be able to do what the 7th Parliament couldn't do, what the 6th Parliament couldn't do, and what the 5th Parliament couldn't do, and do it in such a way that going forward, we will not say that there's a standing, even though there's a standing orders committee, let's form a technical committee. And that technical committee, always leadership is in that committee anyway. The Speaker, the top hierarchy, the Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, led by your good self, and the second Deputy Speaker are all members of the committee that we are forming today. So going forward, Mr. Speaker, a lot is being given to you, your committee, and just as there is a saying that to whom much is given, much is expected. We should not just make you members of the committee, but I know the leader of the House, together with all the leadership, will facilitate and give you that enablement so that you will always be able to compare our standing orders with other best practices and come out with the best rules of procedure. Because we are creature of law, and it is only these rules of procedure that is able to bring order and sanity in the House. With these few words, Mr. Speaker, I support the motion and call on all other colleagues within the chamber to support and let us adopt I second the motion and call on all other colleagues to help and let us adopt this motion and accept this report for the Standing Orders Committee to be able to bring to finality what other parliaments couldn't do. Thank you for the opportunity, and once again, I second the motion.
Honourable members, the motion has been moved and seconded for the consideration of the House. All in favour of the House adopting the motion, say aye. All against, say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. Honourable Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I thank colleagues for the approval and indeed adoption of the reports. That means that we have properly constituted the Standing Orders Committee. Mr. Speaker, but we have always had a Standing Orders Committee. It has always been formed. It's a committee that really have often differed a bit in their work, and that has occasioned the formation of this technical committee. That is, some members of the standing committee, and then we may 2 members who are not part of the standing orders committee to reinforce the standing orders committee. That's what we have always done. But ultimately, the responsibility lies squarely on the shoulders of the Standing Orders Committee to lead us if there should be any amendments. That exactly is what is being done. The Speaker, having said that, let me express gratitude once again to members. And we another assignment at 2 o'clock. We have another assignment at 2 o'clock, and I believe the Speaker is going to lead us. I think the preparatory works have been done by colleagues that we designated to do that. So, on that note, Mr. Speaker, I want to move that this House do now adjourn until Tuesday next week at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I so move.
Yes, Deputy Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion for adjournment. Mr. Speaker, I thought the Honorable Majority Leader was going to give some announcement about how the freshers are going to Aqua Safari and what time they should be there and all those things. As a reinforcement. So that, Mr. Speaker, once that has been said, and once I hammered it and you said it has been said already, they've heard it. But so, Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Honourable members, the motion for adjournment has been moved and seconded. All in favour of the House adjourning now, say aye. All against, say no. Please have it. The House is accordingly adjourned to Tuesday, 9th February 2021. Leaders, are we adjourning to 2 o'clock or to 10 o'clock?
2 o'clock, Mr. Speaker.
At 9 February 20 at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.